Okay, I guess it's round 3 on this video. I haven't even got to the comments yet. I guess I could spend a long time on this one. But I guess you could just keep playing with these arguments until you get something coherent from these people. So now logic rolls the dice is sort of argued almost like, what force is going to oblige me to do the right thing, or some kind of argument like that. And, no, there's no Justice League. There's no, like, Superman and Batman and Aquaman, and they don't all join up together and then tell people you got to do the right thing or else. Yeah, that doesn't work. That doesn't happen in the universe. There's no authority beyond our own brains. We know we're the smartest thing, and we know that the only way the smartest stuff happens is if we apply our intelligence to that problem. So we're the Justice League and the enforcer. And the argument being made here isn't that, again, the argument's just that you're not logical. That's the argument, jackass. I don't know, you still haven't noticed that? That's what logical obligation means. Logic points, the facts point at a certain direction, and you're the ones manipulating and changing the definition of the words in the middle of the logic to escape where it's pointing. But that's the assertion being made. Alright? You're illogical. The argument isn't, there's no morality or any of this stuff. There's either right or wrong solutions to problems. And what you've done is if we could compare it to, choosing your life strategy as a architectural blueprint. What's being argued is that your building will fall down. Your building's a piece of shit. It has no integrity as a piece of engineering. What's being argued is, from the facts that we know, the facts that are quite certain, you have combined them incorrectly by violating basic rules of logic to pervert them into some notion in your fucking head that's idiotic, that somehow selfishness is somehow reasonable. And it's not, logically. Unless you believe in a god, or you believe you're a super being. Yeah, that's the only way you can escape reality here, is to contrive a lie about how you're superior somehow, or that you have some superior cause from some superior authority. No facts for those things, idiot. So I accuse you of being illogical. Really, and making so fundamental logical errors, that you don't even understand that hypocrisy is contradiction. That, that you're like an imbecile kind of mistake.
You have plenty of time to contemplate exactly what's going to take place, and you understand perfectly well.
It's good to continue the argument.
Means no negative. No Novocaine means lots of negative going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, right. So what? What the fuck? What's your point?
There's a
again. So what? What's your point? Yeah. My point is that you know it, all right, as a fact. You behave as if it's a fact. You're quite certain that your suffering is worthy of aversion, not happening. And yet, when somebody's a them, you're saying none of those conditions exist. That's my point. That's the so what.
That drives me to
it's a feeling. No, it's not an understanding.
No, pain is a feeling, you fucking stupid.
Yeah, right. So you didn't let me finish the point, right? I was saying, yes, you have the feeling, but you understand, right? So I was just going to say, it's an understanding of consequences.
More.
And those consequences exist for them.
Right, that's the feeling.
Stand it.
Okay, yeah, we'll play his clip just because I talked over it a little bit, but that was quite obviously just nonsense. Quite obviously.
Point. There's a feeling that drives me to
it's a feeling. No, it's not an understanding.
No, pain is a feeling, you fucking stupid moron. Right, that's the feeling.
Stand it.
Oh, right. Like I didn't know that. So that's a counter argument of some merit or validity. I think I'm the one arguing that pain's a feeling, you fucking moron, and that you're avoiding the feeling because you know the feelings are bad.
Again. Yes, you have a feeling for Novocaine. Yes, I feel for it. I'm in love with Novocaine. It's an emotional thing. It has nothing to do with what Novocaine does for me.
Well, actually, they're not mutually exclusive. You could be in...
Well, see, okay, now I'll make some sort of argument that people have you know, they want to screw a Novocaine vial. They have some emotional incentive completely unrelated to the fact that Novocaine relieves pain. He's actually saying that you could, theoretically, and that this is somehow an argument now. So because somebody could theoretically go to a dentist just to have Novocaine shot into them because they like the taste of it or something. Not because it dulls pain, but because they like the taste of it. Or they like the sensation of the needle. Well, that wouldn't be Novocaine then. So it has to be some other element.
Well, with Novocaine. Given...
Right, they could want to have their face numbed so they drool. Maybe that's it. And so this is a counter-argument in a long and protracted discussion. This guy thinks this is an intelligent argument to make. The argument from there's two people on Earth, okay, using Novocaine for some other purpose. I mean, you know, than pain relief.
What it does, and your understanding of what it reduces, which is what has negative value. Fucktard.
Okay, well, we'll play the whole thing again just because this was too stupid, right? I mean, this didn't have anything to do with what I was saying. Nothing.
Feeling. No, it's not an understanding.
No, pain is a feeling, you fucking stupid moron, right? That's the feeling.
Standing. Yes, you have a feeling for Novocaine. Yes, I feel for it. I'm in love with Novocaine. It's an emotional thing. It has nothing to do with what Novocaine does for me.
Well, actually, they're not mutually exclusive. You could be in love with Novocaine, given what it does, and your understanding of what it reduces, which is what has negative value.
Well, there we go. So he's saying in love with it for the very cause or purpose that I've described as you understanding. So again, you have to understand that it reduces pain for you to be in love with it then, don't you? Yeah, you do, jackass. So again, you didn't answer the point at all. You didn't explain why it's okay to give me, I'll take Novocaine, but fuck them. You didn't explain that at all. Why your pain needs relieving, their pain doesn't need relieving.
Fucktard.
Asshole.
Yeah, that's what all the little rich bitches are saying, right? Yeah, oh yeah, I married him because he's such a charming man. Him having $10 million in the bank.
Wow, he really just cut the fuck out of my video.
Had nothing to do with it. Sure it did.
Pulsed and reduce it to act. But that's still me. That's still my consciousness. It's not...
Yeah, well again, call it whatever you want, okay? It's a rational association. You're just playing a silly word game here. Breaking language, keeping the language you like, and breaking the language you don't like. And that's all you're doing for a selfish purpose.
Another fucking lie.
All right, yeah, I mean, well, what a great response there, right? I end up just playing my video to hear that. Okay, I'll try to jump ahead to some where he actually makes a point. I mean, that is just so fucking useless. I'm making the direct accusation to your impugning your integrity, your character, your entire logical structure, the intelligence of it. All right, and the best you can do. That's a lie. You know, I don't have any evidence that you're incorrect, but yes, it's a lie. That's it? I mean, I'm pointing out exactly how you're doing it. I mean, this whole me and them thing is how you're doing it. I mean, it's just a canard, just a pile of crap. I'm always a them to them, and I'm always a me to me. I mean, it's just stupid. Every individual's a me until you turn them into a them. I mean, it's just stupid. This stupid labeling crap. It's a thing that feels. That's it. I'm a thing that feels. They're a thing that feels. That's it. That's the only label you're entitled to, jackass. Okay, till next time.
I can intellectually... Yeah, that's my point, right? Just because I can intellectually recognize happening over there, why does that give me a moral obligation to...
Well, again, you keep saying a moral obligation.
Right, what else would you say? Logical obligation? Oh, right.
Yeah, I would have said it. I guess if you let me finish my statement, I would have said it. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, well, you can Google that. You fucking...
Well, why would I bother? The idea that, let's say, Spock says, famous for this one, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. It's just a logical statement, sort of just pointing out that there's a certain kind of weight to this need thing. You know, and the more need is more need, less need is less need. Yeah. And so it's where you're just basically saying that, look, you can do logic to predict future outcomes, and the future outcomes all are decidedly in one way, then you've sort of been logically obligated. Logic deduction, logic observation, using logic to do what the facts do, which is add up to something. When you do the math, you end up with a conclusion that points decidedly in a direction. That's when there's an obligation. Now, when the logic is fuzzy, when you can sit there and say there aren't enough facts to make a conclusion, it's 50-50, well, then you don't have an obligation logically, right? Because there's who knows outcomes. But that's the difference. You can't understand that conceptually? Well, apparently you can't. I've always understood that. Okay, that's like as basic as everything I've ever done in my life is basically just recognizing those risks. I feel like jumping 5 steps at a time. Well, I know that if I miscalculate, I'll break my fucking back and be paralyzed and in a wheelchair. Let's see. Is the outcome of being in a wheelchair at all worth the really trivial? It's not even close to even like one, and not even a tiny wank. You know, not even a short little jerk. It's not really much of a thrill, and it's a huge risk. Gee, I can do that math. Yeah, that's a logical obligation. It's not morality, it's not ethics, it's not any of that crap. It's just a simple recognition of risk assessment and outcomes, efficiency. Not complicated.
You made it up and it's idiotic, right? I've never heard of this expression ever. Okay, and I've probably...
Well, I'm sorry for you. I feel really bad for you that you've lived your life so limited. And I don't even need, like I said, I can't even say, maybe they said on Green Acres. Maybe they said on some TV show in my youth and you just didn't watch that, or Star Trek or something. I don't know. I'm sure Spock said maybe logical obligation. It seems pretty, yeah, I'm pretty sure he said that.
I'll have more books on ethics than you. Okay?
Yeah, you've read more crap by Nazis. Yeah, okay, cool, asshole. Idiots, fat people. Yeah, you've read books by fatheads and fat bellies and a bunch of elitist people who didn't go to work, okay, who lived on mommy's money. That's what you've done, okay? Now you want to say they're philosophers. Well, you can say it all you want. I say they're douchebags. That's me. Looks like Newton, not Kant, but whatever.
So we can compare each other's libraries if we're going to do this sort of...
yeah, well, guess what? I don't need a library. I can do rational thinking. I'm basically unified. You know, I've done Einstein's life work, asshole. So if you want to compare authority, you're going to be in really big trouble. Again, this video is going to be played in the future, asshole. All right? And now you're just being some pretentious little twat who says, I've read more books than you. That doesn't have anything to do with comprehension, number one. It doesn't have anything to do with skepticism and understanding when somebody's shoving bullshit up your ass, jackass. So the fact that you fell for this crap is just an indication of how stupid you are. Some idiot, some fat, gluttonous pig writes a book and says, there's an is-ought gap. Well, yeah, there's an is-ought gap with, like, Q-tips and pennies. Yeah, big is-ought gap problem. But sentient feeling things. Guess what? There's no is-ought gap between you and Novocaine, motherfucker, and you goddamn know it, and you're only being a liar and a manipulator and a propagandist, a desperate propagandist. You're like a fundamentalist, a religious kook who somebody shows them human genome, they show them fossils, they show them the geology, and they just desperately say something stupid like, well, I think God wanted to fool us and make us think there was evolution so he could throw us in hell. Fuck you, you desperate little twerp.
I'm an elitist. I have this library of books, right? Okay, we can play that game if you want to.
No, you're playing that game. I'm not saying I found logical obligation in a book somewhere. I'm not saying I found rational philosophy in a book somewhere, because I didn't. The whole fucking human race has been up its own motherfucking ass since day fucking one. The religious propaganda has been in all of that shit. Okay, and even motherfucking Nietzsche, who said, who claims to be the grand God killer, who did he put on the goddamn, who did he throw on the throne of deity? Fucking DNA molecule. He put fucking evolution on the throne. So don't talk to me about what the fuck, who needs a goddamn book to find the truth. Fuck you, the truth is goddamn simple, and you're a stupid fuck. That's a fact. You have words and vocabulary, but you don't know what any of them goddamn mean, and you have no respect for their definition. You fucking weasel. And that's why you keep using a word like morality that is fucking got thousands of years of religious tradition tied to it. So either get a new word, figure out that that one's tainted as motherfucking hell, or just announce that you're too fucking stupid to realize, yeah, that word ain't usable. I mean, it's like somebody, saying servant doesn't mean slave. It's just stupid.
And then, yeah, I mean, I've never heard of this term logical obligation.
You haven't heard the idea of being obligated by the facts. That would be a logical obligation. You don't understand that? Obligated by the facts. You never heard that either? I mean, should we go to all the varieties and we can finally find a variety that you finally heard of?
Logical necessity, logical requirement.
Same thing.
But there's no logical imperative.
Yeah, again, obligation, imperative, same thing. Necessity, same thing. I mean, you want to keep pretending these aren't words that are just obviously adjectives. You're fucking, again, they're just showing how stupid you are in what you're using to make a counter argument, and just demonstrating how desperate you are. You've clinging to a position and you're trying to defend it, and you're doing it now by pretending obligation and imperative aren't the same thing.
There may be a moral imperative, a moral command, right?
Well, again, a command. Again, that's not my language. And this the straw man of this bullshit. It's not even a straw man. What do you call that when you're forcing somebody to say something they didn't say? And it's not because you want to defeat it. You just want to sit there and slander them by saying, you're a child molester, right? Well, you're a child molester, right? You sure as fuck look like one. You must be a goddamn child molester. I mean, I've done everything I can possibly do to separate myself from dogmatic moral imperatives. I'm saying anyone can see the logic. The logic is right here in the fucking facts. I'm pointing out the goddamn facts. I say, I arrived on fucking Earth. I had sensations. They were quite obviously good and bad. And I realized the other sentient beings are doing exactly the same thing. I couldn't have laid this out any simpler for you, you motherfucking cunt. Where is morality in there?
If you're a moral realist, but I've never heard of this. I've never heard of this logical obligation.
Well, who the fuck cares? Little twat, okay, little arrogant twat hasn't heard of something. Oh my God, let's set up a fucking initiative. Let's spend trillions of dollars to find out why the stupid, ignorant little fucking elitist twat with his fucking head up his ass hasn't heard of something.
Thing before. I've never heard of that at all.
I'm saying it's a rational, logical obligation. If it's the same thing.
Right, rational, logical obligation. So now I gave you another adjective. Rational and logical, They're tied together. Get it?
So it's going to happen, the same exact bad. There's no difference except, yes, it's happening in a different location, but it's the same friggin' thing. I mean, rabies 2 feet away, rabies 4 feet away. Oh, gee, it's rabies, jackass.
But why does that give you a reason to do something about it?
It's not giving me a reason to do something about it. My argument is it doesn't give me an excuse to not recognize the simple truth. So when I finally act, and I always decidedly act irrationally in preference to something I know doesn't deserve preference, then I have to explain why I did that. If I'm not giving them 50-50, I'm not even doing it randomly to demonstrate the fact that I'm quite aware of the sameness. I mean, if I had 2 kids and we identify them as the same, and one of them gets 10 years of privilege and comfort and everything it wants, and the other one gets 10 years of complete neglect, it's legitimate to ask somebody, how did you take 2 same things and make them different? You're the one that did something to them. You took away their sameness. The argument is, why did you take away their sameness? Why did you make them unsame? They were same and you made them unsame. Now you've acted. Now your action can be scrutinized logically, and the question can be asked: what fact indicated that you should unsame those 2 things?
It doesn't.
I don't sit there and say, hey, the rabies here is so much more important than the rabies there.
You could. Why couldn't you?
Because there's no light, it's rabies, it's like radioactivity or something. It's going to kill you anyway. That's the point, jackass. I guess I should have used something more obvious in my illustration. Yes, there's 2 balls of uranium, and one of them is 1/zillionth of a millimeter further away from you. Yeah, obviously it's 2 balls of uranium. They're not different. It's the same fucking thing. Alright? No reason to treat them differently.
Things are important to individuals, right? Even if
well, again, things are important to individuals. So that's what you learn from all these books you keep saying you've read, is that you learn that that's what philosophy is. People have things that are important to them. Like some people, God is important to them, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly reasonable. And some other people, molesting children is important to them. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's what they want. And other men want to rape people, and other people want to collect Barbie dolls, and other people want to own all the land in the world. Yeah, right. So you didn't learn anything about, like, I guess you didn't read any Freud, right? Because you didn't learn anything about psychology, right? Nothing at all about the fact that we have completely nonsensical and idiotic conditioned responses to circumstances, and we become addicted to silly things like, I'm going to go watch the turtle races, or I'm going to go watch the horse races, or I'm going to go watch buckets of water race downhill. Let's have the Olympics of buckets of water falling downhill. Yeah, I'm addicted to it. That's all it is, an addiction, jackass. You haven't heard of that word either?
Even if you value helping others.
It's irrelevant. It's not about you valuing helping others. It's whether you're going to value the word same and recognize that same means you have to, the obligation is you can't treat them differently. Wow, you just still can't get that, can you? Without a reason.
Interested as an individual in helping others.
And again, we've already identified the reason why you want to treat things differently. It's because you're too stupid to recognize you're selfish. So you've only allowed your ego to say, I'm more important. And that's what you've fucking factually done. You said, it's important that I get Novocaine. It's not important that other people get Novocaine. Because my feelings are now and real. Their feelings are theoretical and over there. And I'm saying, as soon as you say something that stupid, and that is profoundly stupid, right? To sit there and say, my feelings are here and now, their feelings are over there, and when, who knows? That somehow has integrity as fact. It has no integrity as a fact. It is absolutely irrelevant to any of this conversation. The truth is, the brain will feel over there, the brain feels over here, and if you're just making excuses to keep this brain happy and to fuck that brain in the ass.
Retard.
Fuckhead.
Here's something. I'm not denying that the suffering is...
Yes, yes you are. Yes you are.
No, I'm fucking not.
Yes, you fucking are. That's the definition of nihilism in the first place, jackass, which you can't escape. And as soon as you establish anything that's called a real negative, the imperative is built into it. Obviously, if you treat negative things exactly like you treat nothing, then it can't possibly be a negative. So obviously, negative circumstances require correction. If they don't require correction, it can't be negative by definition, because then it's a neutral. In a conversation about quality and a scale, that's the facts, jackass.
You lying fucking...
Yeah, you propaganding, desperate little tiny wienered motherfucker.
Scumbag.
You are, so quit lying. You're pretending that somehow your personal suffering, the suffering that's closest to you, is somehow the most important.
To me.
Ah, okay. Well, I'm just saying logically, to me, is a non-answer. It's a non-fact. It's totally irrelevant because the them is a to me too. And you are actually a them. You think you're a me. Well, you're a fucking them. Okay, so there's really, that doesn't fucking goddamn logically work. And the fact that you can't figure that out, that to them, you're a them, and to, you know, so that doesn't work. And the thems, to them are me's, right, just add the other part. You can't figure out that doesn't work logically, asshole? Take a break. Pathetic. Pathetic. Go Google pathetic. Alright, back. Try again, some more. Big fun.
To me.
Why don't you do that with planets or something? Why don't you do with that all the rest of the shit in the universe? That the only important things matters as to how close it is to your little nerves. How far away it is, the more meaningless it becomes.
Yeah, and I do that, right?
And right, it does that. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point. So yes, logically, let's just say, fuck it, okay? That we're not going to worry about some sort of rational definition of things in the world. We're going to define them based on how big they are to us. So it's almost like a kid saying, because a car is far away and a car is close up, this car is better because it's bigger. Yeah, and that's the kind of crap we should fall for as intellectuals. We should read a bunch of German philosophy, a bunch of Nazi philosophy and moron philosophy and elitist philosophy, so we can not understand that perception is not reality. That the car a mile away that's only this big isn't really only this big. Yeah, fuck you. You really are stupid. Really stupid.
It is to me. It is to me to everyone. To them.
No, yeah, I'm not saying no. Not everyone is as dumb as you in the first place. That other people do understand when a Holocaust happens to other people, it's really bad. And they can do the thing where they say, I wonder what it would be like if that happened to me. Holy shit! They could say, oh yeah, that's bad. All right, I get it. That's fucking bad shit going on. Yeah, they can do that. You apparently can't.
To me, to them. Okay?
No, it's not okay. It's really, really fucking stupid to describe the world based on this me-centered universe. It's not a fact. It's not what the universe is. The galaxy out there in space isn't a nothing galaxy because it's a little tiny, tiny little twinkling star. Ugh, idiot.
What's your point?
My point is you're too fucking stupid to be making these arrogant, obnoxious videos. You really haven't thought about it with any kind of depth. You're just spouting fucking verbiage vomiting on the internet like a fucking little moron. That's my fucking point. I've told you quite a while ago that you maybe should shut the fuck up till you figure out what you're talking about, jackass. But you wouldn't do that. Instead, you got even more arrogant and obnoxious. And so now I'm going to fucking bury you, alright, forever. I'm going to just keep whacking you with this goddamn shovel of logic and keep knocking you back into the grave, you fucking zombie of an asshole.
Not in reality.
Yes, in reality.
Yes, in reality, me is the center of the universe. No, it's not, asshole. That's not the way it works, fuckhead. You're not special, asshole, in any other way except special fucking Olympics. Why don't they have the Asperger Olympics, where you can all arrogantly and pompously and elitistly talk about how I don't like to work, so I had to make up some kind of bullshit so I don't have to go to work.
Not logically.
Yes, logically.
He just keeps saying it, yes. Oh, yes, it's logical to have a me-first universe. That's logical. I read a lot of books. That's what they say. It's me first. Fuck you.
I'm just saying that I'm not experiencing it, so it's not driving me. It's not.
Okay, it's not.
It's not driving me, right? Like my knowledge that Novocaine eliminates pain isn't driving me. Bull fucking shit. Alert. With fuck tartar sauce. Somebody wrote that in the comments. I like that. Fuck tartar sauce.
Driving me. Again, we're way past that as intellectuals, right? You talk about reading all these books by all these people that are supposed to be smart, and you haven't figured that part out yet? That we have a thing called intelligence that allows us to understand model systems and understand entire networks.
Yes, but you have to place value on it.
No, you don't. We've already had that. That's what the feelings are doing, jackass. You don't place any value. You watch the value. That's what you watch. You make the model. You make the little things feeling. And then you watch what happens. And what happens is you see, hey, that one thing is gobbling up all those other feeling things and causing all kinds of unnecessary pain. Yeah, and you see how it fails. That the value is destroyed. That there's unnecessary and wasted harm, motherfucker, just by watching it. You don't place it. You just recognize its existence. And you're pretending that, well, this is me object and this is them's. Okay. Something's happening to me. Very important. Something happens to them. Ooh, who the fuck could possibly care? That's a cartoon over there in them, you know, Looney Them Tunes. Yeah, that's happening in Toonville or Themville. I don't have to give a shit about what happens in Themville.
Okay, you have to get an erection for it. You can do the reason.
You know, you can see the way he just can't even. He doesn't even really understand that word, does he? I don't think he's ever had one.
The higher abstract thought, the conceptual framework, the logical framework stuff. But reason itself cannot oblige.
Oh, well, again, there's you watch the model. You rationally have identified, okay, the sentient thing is valuable, all right, and you rationally recognize there's no such thing as me is the only sparkly bit. I'm the glitter, and everything else is the sand.
Any behavior. Only your passions can do that. Right?
Well, again, no, wrong, no. You're going to have to, like I said this before. I mean, you'll have to find a surrogate passion, but the surrogate passion could be completely rational, like the truth. All right, having a passion for the truth, or having a passion for doing correct logic. And correct logic would be, oh yeah, I'm not going to play some stupid, idiotic, woo-woo bullshit game of saying hypocrisy isn't contradiction. Yes, it is.
And even still, there's still no duty or
Again, duty isn't the word I'm using, but I'm just saying that obviously you could just say logical duty, logical obligation. The facts would indicate that the only positive outcome is for this to take place. So yes, however you want to structure the description, the fact is the model says so. The rational reasoning model says so. And the only model that gives you a reason to escape is some idiotic model where you're the center of the universe, which is bullshit. It's a non-fact.
Ultimate sort of objective moral obligation to obey what it is that you want.
Well, again, keep saying the word morality as if I'm arguing for morality. Not happening. I'm arguing for correct model dynamics. Let's call it that. Correct modeling dynamics.
Or blah, 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 blah. There's no...
Yes, correct modeling dynamics.
There's no ultimate obligation.
Well, again, so there's no real bad. Again, you can't just keep saying there's no ultimate obligation. There's nothing really qualitatively different between a universe covered with things with veils in their eyes going and them going ah screaming, and a bunch of things eating cupcakes and going happy happy smiley smiley. No difference whatsoever. I'm saying on its face, that's just the biggest, most preposterous, most outrageous, inaccurate description of reality you could come up with. It's the definition of insane as a description of reality.
Anyway, right? So there's no ultimate duty for anyone to...
Well, again, you keep saying it as a proclamation. I'm saying quite obviously there's a duty to prevent the universe from being converted entirely into kittens with nails in their eyes.
Anything.
And you're just going to sit there and just deny all that stuff and say the DNA molecule didn't tell me anything about it, so therefore I don't know anything about these obligations or this system design or what's going on in the big picture because I'm an ignorant motherfucker. So why don't you change your name to ignorant motherfucker? Rolls the dice, because that's all you're saying you want to be. That's what you're aspiring to be. The DNA molecule didn't tell me I have to care, so there's no reason to be at all concerned about anything. Fuck you.
Oh, now why didn't he jump in there? I mean, fuck. I couldn't have, I mean, I pointed the fucking gun right at his goddamn dick and I pulled the motherfucking trigger and he does nothing? No violation? Nothing? I haven't somehow done something wrong? I just blew your dick off, fucker. I just blew the nuts off your philosophy. I mean, I shot them to fucking China. And you fucking have nothing to say?
The weapon is not experienced by myself.
Yeah, well, gee, that's exactly right. I don't experience your pain either. Does that mean that I shouldn't be considerate of it?
You don't have to be...
Ah, there you go. You don't have to be considerate of it. You don't have to acknowledge the fact that it's exactly the same as your pain. You don't have to acknowledge that same deserves same treatment. You don't have to do any of that. That would be logical. You don't have to be logical. You don't have to logically process these facts. You can illogically process them and say, I don't feel like it. There, I've solved the fucking problem, okay? I mean, the astronauts call from space and they say, Houston, we have a problem. And I just say, I don't feel like it. I have a problem tomorrow because I don't feel like a problem today. Oh, fuck you. I just can't. I have to take a break. Fuck you, you nutless wonder. Now. Back, I guess. Probably.
You either are considerate or you're not. Okay, that's logic. There's no treatment. There's no ought to treatment. There's no...
Well, again, that's just stupid. You know, you're saying there's no ought because you're saying there's no statements defining or describing anything of value, okay? So that's your bullshit. You're saying you can't say something is bad, you can't say something is good. I'm saying, of course you can. I'm saying I'm testifying from my own experience as a sentient being that I have identified good and bad in sensations. You're denying those labels of good and bad. So that's why you say there's an is-ought gap, because you will not allow anybody to establish the existence of any intrinsically good or bad thing. So there's no point in having this argument. The argument is about my personal observation as a consciousness that my feelings are in fact good and bad, and the value is intrinsically and fundamentally real. You're saying it doesn't exist. I'm saying, why should I believe it doesn't exist as a reality? Why should I actually believe that you could torture every sentient being in the universe, or you could pleasure every sentient being in the universe, and those two worlds would be identical in terms of any value? Why should I believe that? It seems insipidly and insanely insane to believe that. I certainly wouldn't want you to do it to me. I would not wish you to make 1 billion of me and torture them. So again, the argument is your claim that the sensations that conscious beings experience have no value, real value, meaningful, recognizable, declarable value. That's your contention, jackass, and I dispute it vociferously from my personal motherfucking conscious experience. There's no way my conscious experience is consistent with that rubbish.
That's it, right? You either give a fuck or you don't.
No, what you care about, what makes you horny or hungry, what your food tastes are, has nothing the fuck to do with a philosophical conversation about reality and how we function in it. Again, if you will not establish the real existence of the sentient's welfare, then yes, everything's a them, including you. Nothing means anything. And yet you can't even satisfy that statement because you don't demonstrate that casual disinterest in your own welfare. You hypocritically do behave as if your welfare matters, and you hypocritically declare them not worthy of the care. So even if you were correct in your nonsense, you're not living your nonsense ever. You're not demonstrating any faith or confidence in your fucking philosophy of it doesn't matter. And you're doing it in this overtly duplicitous manner, whether you declare yourself important and them not important. You take away their sameness and say, we're not the same. I'm somehow more meaningful. What happens to this brain somehow matters more than what happens to that brain. And you're saying it with no evidence. What is the evidence that it matters more what happens to this brain? This brain needs Novocaine. That brain doesn't. How do I logically make sense out of that shit?
Your sensitivity, the fact that you feel and that you will have a bad day, I shouldn't consider these things?
You don't have to.
It's not a matter of have to. How do I avoid doing it and not being a hypocrite? If I'm going to consider it when it's happening to me, how do I justify not considering what's happened to them when I've acknowledged the two things are the fucking same? How can they be the same and I can treat them differently?
So I either have a bad day or I don't. There's no obligation for you to be considerate. In fact,
again, I have to be considerate of whether or not I'm going to cause you a bad day. I have to be, if I'm going to say it matters when it happens to me, I have to concede it matters when it happens to them. And that means as a mattering thing, it has to be considered.
No, you could, if you wanted to, not give a fuck.
Oh, again, it's this give a fuck shit has nothing to do with whether or not you're being inconsistent that you're committing a logical error in redefining the same, in breaking the premise of the theory. So again, if you're going to accept the argument, the fundamental argument that we have intrinsic sameness, all right, then you're obligated by that fact to include it in your equation. It's just a fact now, and it's going to point to certain things. And what it's going to do is make obvious hypocrisy. You're not allowed to be a hypocrite.
Okay.
If I wish to grind up 10 people to make a hamburger, yummy, yummy, I should just go ahead because I don't feel their pain?
You could do it if you wanted to do it.
Well, again, you can't do it logically. You can't do it if you believe the same is the same. If I know that it's bad, I get tortured, then I have to concede it's bad, they get tortured. And I wouldn't do it if it was my torture. I can't do it if it's their torture. That's just logically mandated by the 1 + 1 = 2 shit. Okay? I can't do math and say, this is a viable equation. Now, I wouldn't do it if it's -3 + 1 equals -2 or whatever the thing is. And all I do is reverse the 1 and the 3. I put the 1 first and the 3 last or something. I can't do that and say now the math works. Okay? It doesn't change the math any. Where I put the -3 and where I put the +1 doesn't change the motherfucking math.
Yes.
I know the math doesn't work when it's me. I have to know the math doesn't work when it's them.
You could.
Yeah, again, but not being logical, not being honoring the facts that have been established. I have to rape the facts, or I have to rape rational addition. I either deny the definition of the words, or I do something insane and just pretend the words don't have any definition. I don't know how. No, it's, yeah, you're basically just breaking definition and you're committing overt contradictions, which is the same thing as breaking definition.
Really?
Really, that's what you're doing. You're illogical. And it's obscene that you pretend to be a defender of logic when you're a raper of logic. You're a fucking logic pedophile. You molest the motherfucking shit out of it for your own purposes, you motherfucking cunt.
You're idiotic.
Wow, that's a great counter-argument there. Oh yeah, and you demonstrated what I pointed out, how, from my perspective, you're absolutely insane. That's right. If you're gonna sit there and say it's okay to grind up 10 people to make a hamburger to satisfy one of my idiotic sociopathic needs, then yes, you're crazy.
That I can think there's profit in it? I impose suffering.
Whoa, okay, bullshit. Now you've changed scope.
No, I haven't changed it motherfucking at all. That's what the argument's been about right from the very fucking goddamn beginning, that you have obligation to do the math with your behavior in the real world. The real world has pieces that have real numbers tied to them, and I have to include the numbers. When I make somebody else feel a -3, I have to include it in the value of what I'm doing, motherfucker. I can't pretend I didn't make a -3, fuck shit. That's always been in here. You're fucking, this is such a fucking goddamn Weasley evasion for you to pretend that you didn't know that's what I'm saying. When fucking 6 months ago, you sit there and repeated videos where I said things like value equation. You've repeated those phrases. Value equation. It's a value equation, fucker. Not morality, a value equation. God, you're such a lying cunt.
Because you're still trying to bring in this moral...
No, I'm trying to bring in the fact that we've already established sameness facts. And the fact is, -3 here, -3 there, same fucking -3.
Or value, inmendham has banished the word moral from our vocabulary, which, by the way, doesn't have anything to do with religious.
Okay, so and we could spend some videos on that. Let's go look up the history of the use of the word moral, and see how many ethical or decent people who weren't trying to impose dogma on people used it.
Dogmatism. That's just a fucking misconception that inmendham has, that the word moral is tied to theology. Okay, it's not.
Okay, do any of you, Vic, do you believe that too, Vic? Do you really think the word morality isn't entirely and catastrophically the property of dogmatic religious folk?
Philosophers use ethics and morality interchangeably.
Because they're stupid. And most of them are not really atheists, right?
It's not like one is...
They're pantheists or blah 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 or wooists or, like you, themists.
more religious. I don't know where the fuck you heard. That's a pile of shit.
You can keep saying it, but I'm saying I don't think there's any way anyone could research the historical record in terms of the use of the word morality, and you'll find that's what the Inquisitioners would say.
But so yeah, what the fuck was I saying again?
I impose suffering on something else. I use it up for my gain, and therefore I've done something reasonable.
Relative to what goal? Right?
Relative to the goal that the math has to add up. That's right. The value equation has to come up with a positive number. That's it. Yeah, not complicated. You can't have a deficit. You have to have a profit. You have to gain, not lose. Yeah, those are real words, right? Gain and lose. We do understand what those are. Deficit, asset. We understand what those words are. There's a plus and a minus condition. That's what being established as a premise. You want to argue with that premise? You want to say there's no such thing as a minus condition? Go ahead and make that argument, but concede that's what we're really arguing about. We're really arguing that you think it's impossible to have a less than neutral state. That it's neutral or better. There's no such thing as a negative state of existence, qualitatively.
Because maybe if that's your goal, to grind them up and eat them in a hamburger, then you have done something reasonable relative to that goal.
Well, again, there's no way that goal could possibly be reasonable once you've established plus and minus signs. There's no way to say, I win by having a huge deficit, because obviously it'd be really easy to win then. You just buy everything on earth on your credit card. It would be an insane competition for which there would be no way to value any kind of accomplishment, because it would take no brains to spend money you don't have, to waste suffering. It takes brains to efficiently preserve the welfare state of sentient beings. It takes no brains to disregard. I mean, it's the difference between a sledgehammer and a scalpel, motherfucker.
But ultimately, no act is at the bottom of things reasonable or unreasonable.
Well, again, this is just stupid. Yeah, it is based on the premises. We already established the premises. You're saying based on the premises that there is an absolute, a real bad, intrinsic, and the premise that same is same, you're saying that somehow it'd be reasonable to waste a bunch of these negative numbers. Just pile up a big, huge pile of negative numbers, and it's all okay. No, it's already established. That would be bad. Your solution would be bad. Having a solution of bad, by definition, is bad. That's the definition of bad, is to have a solution that is bad. You lose. All right. Baddie. Baddie, 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 baddie. Baddie. Okay, enough of this. Fuck the themists. With trucks and shit. Yeah. Fuck them with trucks. yeah. So you do have pleasant thoughts. I was thinking about the poor Chinaman, though, walking down the sidewalk, and he finds these two little tiny testicles. He says, oh, look, little tiny testicles with gunpowder residue on them. I guess some big rich American bitch got pissed off, and, well, I don't know, that doesn't make sense. Who knows what the little Chinaman